What's up, everyone, and welcome back to All Things NBA from A to Z. Bless you. Presented by Ball is Life. I'm Chris Persian, and here alongside Zach Noble. Very excited to bring you another NBA redraft. It is the off season. We are trying to reset before the next season in terms of where we're at on players, player evals. I think we're going to do a top players in the league pod coming up soon. But for right now, we're doing redrafts. We did 2022. You can check that out on our page, YouTube, Spotify, Apple, Castbox, Amazon, Google, whatever, you name it. We did 2021. You can check that out. I washed the floor with Zach thoroughly,
My ass.
power washed because he forgot to take the number two player on his board. But
Okay,
it was a
that's
really
fair.
fun draft. And now today we are doing the 2020 NBA draft. Zach, you know the drill. Give me a side of a coin so we can talk to Miss
Heads
Siri. Siri, flip a coin for me.
per time.
It's tails. It's tails.
That's a
So
dagger.
I get to
That's a
rob
dagger
you. I get to rob
of my
you.
guy, of
No
my
Dilling,
life,
no Dillingham.
my
Of
children.
the number one pick in the 2020 redraft. This is so easy, y'all. It's Anthony Edwards. You can argue that LaMelo Ball has turned in better offense. You can argue that Tyrese Maxey has turned in better offense than him so far. But I don't really care for those arguments. I'm not on the other side of them. I think Anthony Edwards.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Like, you legit think those are arguments there?
I think they're arguable. I wouldn't do it.
I mean, now, wow, okay, you made it sound so easy, which it should have been. Then
It
you say
is. It
something
is
like,
for me.
there is no argument
But
whatsoever.
I
I mean,
said just
one,
offense, and we know that Ant
yes,
defensively
LaMelo
projects
hasn't
far
won more than
ahead of
30.
LaMelo and Maxey. Um, I mean, listen, Anthony Edwards is one of the future faces of the NBA. Victor Wembanyama is obviously the most prominent at this point. You still have Luca. You still have like a Giannis in there. Anthony Davis, even though he's a little to the top of the hill or over it at this point. Um, Jason Tatum, there is Halliburton. There are certain guys that everyone agrees are the future of the league. Anthony Edwards is usually the number two in those conversations behind Wembanyama, if not the number one for some people, particularly those that hail from the Twin Cities. That said, he's my number one pick in this draft, and the reason is just that. I think he's the best option in this draft to build a team around, the best long-term player that people project in this draft class. Some guys in this class may come close to him one day, but that's just the thing, is you're hoping that they come close to him. And that says enough for me. Anthony Edwards, number one. It's simple, it's easy. Zach, over to you.
So two two things on the Anthony Edwards front. So that last point you made, you're saying that there might be some guys that catch him. There's only one guy. I'll say two. There's two guys in this entire class that have a percentage, whether that's 5 or 7% chance of ever reaching what Anthony Edwards has accomplished already, and that's Tyrese Maxey and Tyrese Halliburton. Um,
LaMelo's still on that list for me.
that's crazy. Uh, but hey, I mean, that's part of the game to give a percentage. My real question to you would be how many guys and who are you taking in the entire league over Anthony Edwards for the rest of their career? For me, it's Luka and Giannis. That's it.
Wemby, Luca, Giannis,
Wemby, really?
Wemby for sure.
You think
Um,
he's gonna stay healthy enough?
yeah, and he's really good already.
No, I'm okay with
Um,
that.
Giannis, what's funny about Giannis is that I think he's low key a little older than people think.
Oh, he
Um,
is old. Yeah,
he's
28 to 23 right
29.
now.
He's 29. So I
You're sure
I
on that?
yeah, would bet.
Really? I thought he was just a
Um,
fresh 28.
I think he just turned 29 then. If it's fresh, he just turned 29. Nah, he's 29 and a half more. His birthday's in December. He'll turn 30 in December.
Still
So
taking Giannis.
maybe I'd go Ant. I'd say Luca, Wemby, um, and that Shea. Luca, Wemby, Shea. That's it for me.
I can handle that. I can
Word.
handle that.
Okay.
I'll
Um,
be going back and forth on Shea and Ant
I
and
think
Luca in
Shea.
there
I
too
think
because
Shea right now has an existent argument, and during and after this next season, we'll have a good argument for best in the world. I've been very high on
yes,
Shea for
yeah, I
years.
completely agree.
I've been saying that
No,
Shea is going
same.
to be a
Yeah,
top five player since he was like freshly traded to OKC. Like I'm very high on him. I have always been very high on him. I'm not giving up now. He's insane.
I got Shea and Luca both ahead of Ant currently, but I still think Ant's ceiling is higher than Shea's. Not by much. And it's going to continue to bounce back and forth constantly. So, last question on this. What year is Victor going to pass Ant for you, like as a player?
Not next season, but the one after.
Year three. Okay.
I
I
think
like
he'll
it.
do it by the end
Num-
of year two, like maybe. But I'm not gonna. I don't. I'm not placing a bet on 4 games. Like you know what I mean. Like it'll be Wemby's year three that he shows he's better at some point during that season. It doesn't have to be out the gate.
If if Wemby makes the playoffs this year, and he would have to win a minimum of like 42 games with the talent he has on his team,
Does 42 games get you into the Western Conference playoffs this season?
maybe like the 10th seed. That's
I was
I
gonna
said
say
minimum. I
nine
did
and
say
10 seed,
minimum.
9 or 10 seed, and then win the play in.
Right.
That conference
But with the,
always.
I'm just factoring in the talent he has on a team. That's the only way that's the only way I'll consider Wemby being better than Ant next year. So I think that's my bar, 42 wins.
Okay.
Number two pick in the 2020 redraft here. Um, this is my tier two. Anthony Edwards, far and alone, tier one right now. My tier two is five guys deep. I think a lot of these guys could change in this order. But as of right now,
Let me
Tyrese Maxey.
guess. His first name is Tyrese. See, there we go.
Yeah, I mean that's a fair guess. Uh, but yeah, I'm going Maxey here. I've always shouldn't say always, but um, from the draft, I was slightly max. He was really close. They were like back-to-back picks for me, so I can't say I was like that much higher on Maxi pre-draft, but since about year two, I'd say I've been on Maxi middle of the year too, and I just think this guy by the end of this year, he's going to be instead of on like a 36, 34 win pace without Embiid, he'll be closer to a 40, 45. I think he's going to be that impactful this year. I think he's going to take another leap, and I think he's going to be a pretty solid defender, like a plus defender. I just believe in him that much more than Halliburton, and I'll take his scoring upside over Halliburton's playmaking and passing abilities.
I had Maxi like 4 or 5 slots higher than Halliburton on my pre-draft board. Maxi in my top 10 and Hallie like at the end of the lottery. So I wish I was higher on both guys, obviously. But I'm definitely higher on Maxi today. And going forward. That's why Maxi was the number 2 on my board after Ant. Um, but number 3 on my board, and this was tough for me because of LaMelo, but because of who I am taking, it folds in here. Um, to discussing your pick at number 3, I'm gonna go Tyrese Halliburton, and the reason is because I do think that neither Ball nor Halliburton will win a championship as the number 1 offensive like overall team option. And because
Agreed.
unfortunately, I think that that's the case, which is just my own silly projection I'm basing this off of. But because I do think, unfortunately, that that's the case, Halliburton has the more additive game as an off ball player between the two of those guys. Not trying to discredit LaMelo as an off ball player at all. That's just Halliburton's bread and butter. Like that's why he's so good. And he's really freaking good. So I'm gonna go with Hallie at number 3. I wish I could have gotten Maxi, but I have a feeling that even though I don't pick again until the 5th pick, I'm gonna be able to get either the 4th or 5th guy on my board there at 5. Hopefully, I get the fourth guy at 5 and the fifth guy at 7, and then I'll be wiping the floor with you again. Zach, your take on, I mean, you talked about it with Maxey and Halliburton, but quick take on the top three of this draft being Ant, Tyrese, and then who have you got at number 4?
Yeah, I think we're exactly aligned so far here, and just even our assessments
Not for long.
aren't too. Yeah, this is where it gets murky, I would say. Probably after the next pick, maybe not this one, but after the next one, I'd say. And then it's just kind of like a crapshoot. This big tier 3 and tier 4 I got in this class, but um, honestly, I don't think Maxey will ever be a number one on a championship team. I think he is the only other guy in this class that has a chance to be. Uh, but it's a slim shot versus Ant. Like I'm like 80% sure he can and I'll already be that guy if he has the right talent around him. Um, so Maxey's got a ways to go in order to get there. But like numbers wise, it's just he's there. It's impact, like advanced numbers and just how he's getting his buckets and when they're coming. And yeah, a lot of other things. But number 4 in this redraft, I'm gonna go with Lonzo Ball.
Sit with that for a second. Say that back to yourself.
LaMelo Ball. That's funny. I was
You want to run that back? Who you taking with the number 4 pick, man? Let's run that one back.
LaMelo Ball.
Okay.
There we go.
Why?
In the 2020 draft. I just think it's 1 through 4 hasn't been a debate for me. Honestly, 5 you can kind of debate it, but I think 1 through 5 isn't even a debate for me. We'll get into it a little more here, but to me, the only debate you can have is he's putting up empty numbers, but then my argument would be he hasn't had the talent.
That's what I wanted
2,
to
I
say to
mean,
you earlier. You said he hasn't
his
won 30 games. I was like, dude, you
right.
see his rosters? He's on the
Yeah,
the
exactly.
national crash out organization of the
Right.
NBA. Like,
Some of the
yeah.
worst all time for sure. Supporting cast wise, but honestly, it isn't the worst all time because Terry Rozier and Miles Bridges is a hell of a lot better than stuff KG and James Harden had. So, but then again, he's younger in these years.
And
But
Rozier is now a South Beachian, and Trey Man is going to
what
be good, but he's not there yet at that Terry level.
the
So they got Brandon Miller.
the excuses are out the door for me because I do like his supporting cast now. I really do.
Okay.
Right? Are you with me? Like, if he's really the real
No.
deal now, I think this should for sure be a playoff team. If he's good enough, if
Well,
he's as
if you're
good,
really high on Miller, then I
I
sure.
am. I'm as high
Okay.
on Brandon Miller as anybody.
Okay. Is he
And
better than Brandon Ingram right now?
yes, no, not right now, not right now. But I'm taking Brandon Miller going forward. Definitely not right now.
So this next season, he
You
won't be
put
better.
Brandon Miller in the playoffs, he would have been better than Brandon Ingram in the playoffs.
So then you think he's better? I don't know. Whatever.
No, not from what we actually. Not the facts say Brandon Ingram's better. But hypothetically speaking, if Brandon Miller had an opportunity in the playoffs, I think he would have had a better playoffs than what Brandon Ingram did.
Okay. I just thought that would be a good question to ask because you said you were so high
Is a
on him. I
great
was like,
for
let's
sure.
see how damn high. Um, yeah.
But
So
I'm also very low on Brandon Ingram.
I'm pretty low on Ingram too. He fails the test of if you're going to be high usage, make it worth it.
And the other reason why you could argue other guys over LaMelo is just strictly availability in games played.
That's
Like
the biggest thing for me. Honestly, that's the biggest thing for me easily is availability.
51, 75, 36,
Ugh.
22 last year. He's had one successful availability year. And honestly, if he was healthy any of those years, do you think the team would have been much better?
No, I mean they
Like
really
by the
stink.
way,
Like culturally.
right?
Now they have Taj Gibson and
Exactly.
Kemba Walker basically both on the coaching staff. Kemba's actually on the coaching staff. Taj is there as a vet now. Talk about New York leadership coming to the table when you need it. That's going to be special. They're going to corral those young fellas, um, and get them focused on the right thing. I think they got Reggie Cameron in the PD room now. I think he's great. And Charles Lee looks really good from what we've seen so far in terms of what he said to the media, the videos they've put out from practices. You get that vibe from him. This is like the worst analysis ever, but you get that feeling from Charles Lee that he's gonna have shit together there in Charlotte. But yeah, LaMelo Ball, I had him at 4 as well, even though maybe you could argue, if games played are a big factor, that this guy that I'm about to take has produced more out of his career thus far than LaMelo Ball has. For me, long term is what factors in the most here. This guy's already a really good player, but I think the sky's the limit for him in terms of how good he can be. I don't have much of a ceiling on this guy, um, and that goes for the rest of these players that we've already drafted as well. But they've just shown you've seen more proof of concept. But for me, this pick it wasn't easy because there are like two guys that I considered having above this guy, but you know what they say, like just trust your gut, trust your biases. And so for me with the number 5 pick, I'm going to select Immanuel Quickley, now
Oh
of
my
the
God, I wasn't seeing that
now
coming.
of the Toronto Raptors. He's going to be my number 5 pick in this 2020
Homer.
redraft. And the reason, yeah, I'm a big Raptors guy. And the reason for that is because I think that he is a fantastic mix for the modern NBA of on and off ball ability. Whether he's running a bench unit or working with a jumbo initiator in the starting unit. Oh, he can do both of those things in Toronto. You talk about opportunity. This guy has a chance to really shine in Toronto with this roster construction they have. Um, Off the ball, he's a money 3-point shooter. He's a playmaker for others, no matter how you want to slice or dice it. And it may not be his primary instinct. He struggled with that throughout his career, the balance between when to shoot, when to pass, when to look for an open teammate. But he's getting better and better at it. I think he's a good pick and roll guard. And then defensively, oh my God, stud defensively, capable on the ball of being on an island against a guard. Can scale up. He's 6'2", 6'3", with a 6'9" wingspan, so he can scale up to guard threes. So he's a switchable defender. He's a good on the ball defender. Point of attack, I think he can guard well enough. He's not big bodied. He's not super sturdy. So point of attack, not a super strong point for him compared to his off the ball, basically torturous reign of passing lanes as a guard. But this is a guy who to me projects to be someone like if Alex Caruso was actually like a really good offensive player. Um,
Wow.
like that's the kind of defensive impact he's brought to the table throughout his career. Offensively, sky's the limit. Um, he's got a lot of potential, but he's also really, really good right now. For example, go over to our handy friend EPM. I only like using defensive EPM for centers. Offensive EPM, though, good for any position. Last season, 68 games played. He was in the 87th percentile of offensive EPM. The years before on the Knicks, when we know he never started, never played over 29 minutes a game on the Knicks, never had a usage rate of 25 or higher. 78th percentile offensively, 86th, 88th. Like this is a really good basketball player. He's had a lot of production so far in his career. This wasn't a super easy pick for me, but it was the pick I felt the most right about in terms of I can live with going down on this ship. Still high in this draft. You're still prioritizing upside a lot. Um, and I'm gonna go with Immanuel Quickley.
I like it. I mean, that's gonna be our first shakeup, and it's just crazy because these other guys are better than him. There's three guys I think are better than him right this moment, but that's not what a redraft is, and what this is about. I know I've asked you this plenty.
Bane
What
is definitely better than him offensively.
oh,
Um,
and defensively, he's absolutely better defensively. He's a great defensive player.
I think
Uh,
Immanuel Quickley is a great defensive player.
See, I'm not there. I think he's good. I'm not there and great yet.
I'd split the
Um,
difference on him, and I'd just say that they're in the same tier
wow. See, that's
defensively.
what I'm going to be paying way more attention to Quickly's defense this year.
Stud.
Um, all right, we'll see.
And he's the kind of guy who I trust as his usage continues to be higher than it was in New York, you know. I do think that the defense will stay good. I know a lot of guys once they take on a heavy, brunt of the offensive load, mail it in a little bit on that end of the floor. I don't think Quickly has that in him to mail it in on either end of the floor. So I'm buying it.
If Quickly reached his absolute ceiling, you see, where could he finish all the way up to number 3 on this list for you? Number 2, where could he finish?
Absolute ceiling number two.
Wow, I love that. And so you
And
view him like,
that's holding an optimistic view of Edwards.
yeah, so like for me, his like 5-10% ceiling is like top 20 player in the NBA, maybe top 17. Like you're thinking he could even be top 15, maybe top 10.
Yeah, I think 15 absolute ceiling is a good place to be. I'm high
Okay.
on. I've always been high on the kid.
Oh, I know, yeah.
Um,
But
he's really good. He's a great player. I think his first 3 years being on the Knicks has kind of hid him from
mm-hmm.
the mainstream a little bit. Like now that he's in Toronto, he's there for just a little bit and he gets $175 million. Now you're going to see people who have never heard of him coming out the woodwork to hate on him if he has a bad game, to make fun of the contract. Like just ride the wave with this kid. He, in baseball, young players get to a point where even when they're slumping, after a little bit,
100 like 50. I don't think 175.
175 over 5 years, but that's not the guaranteed money, I think.
Okay.
I want to
Okay.
say. Maybe I'm making that up. Could be totally wrong.
Because this says 32.5 across the board, and that would equal like 60, I believe,
Yeah, it would.
if not less.
It was
And
162.
there's
All right, you've piqued my interest. Yeah, 5 year 162.5, which is
there we
32
go.
flat. Ah,
This
NBA.
175 seemed kind of high.
NBA. Immanuel Quickley signs $175 million deal to stay with Raptors on NBA.com.
Then it's got to be some bonus stuff. Well,
Yeah, I bet the bonuses go up to whatever.
yeah, that's fair. 13
Sports
million in
Illustrated says
bonuses.
it's 35 a year. I literally I don't know. We could go forever on this. I'm sure it's incentives and bonuses. But yeah, thoughts?
All right. So back on track to the number 6 pick in the 2020 redraft here.
Yeah,
This guy, I personally think, is better than even LaMelo Ball at this moment. I mean, mainly because of availability, but even when he's played,
has to
this
be
is
Bane.
two. Yes, 100% Bane. I mean, he's the only guy left on the list that can say those things I just said. But yeah, Bane, I don't think his ceiling is that high, but I think he's a very good player right now. And I honestly think was really close to making an all-star game 2 years ago. Like, borderline for me. I would have been cool with him getting in. Like, I think he's like that CJ McCollum echelon right now where he's as good as you get without making an all-star game. And maybe he'll get lucky and sneak in one eventually because his team's so good and he's just rock solid. But I don't see him getting much better than he is right now. He could, but again, I don't see much past like 23 points per game, and maybe his rebounds go up a little bit here. But what say you?
Bane is really good. Had him in my lottery pre-draft. Was very high on him. Loved what he could bring to the table in terms of 3-and-D guy who can definitely shoot the crap out of the rock, can defend well. Um, but also has that little sliver of upside to do some things more offensively. I think I've always liked him. The deal, of course, that he got kind of skewed the discourse on him a lot. Um, the big I always say this, like the biggest problem NBA fans have when it comes to free agency and its lasting effects is separating overpaid from overrated or bad. Like someone gets
Yeah, and
overpaid and
mixing
all of a
that
sudden everyone thinks they suck. It's like, no, they're good. They're just overpaid to be good, but they're still
yeah,
good.
and mixing that in with the market. Like that's Memphis had to pay him what they paid him. Like he's a guy they can't lose. He's a staple, and I just think you switch him and Clay Thompson out. It's one of those deals. Like I think Desmond Bane's that good.
Yeah,
Um,
I like it. I do. I like it. Bane can show a lot. Opportunity is going to be there this upcoming season. In regards to the Grizzlies, kind of, they're ready to be however good they're going to be. And what I mean by that is like, I don't inherently look at their team and be like, oh, no matter how good their guys play, they're capped at being this kind of team. Like, it's kind of up to them. Their fate's in their own hands. I really think that they're a kind of team where you look at the pieces they have: Edie, Jaren Jackson Jr., Bane, obviously John Morant, and it's going to be what those players make of this season, which is a good spot to be in, controlling your own destiny. Bane's going to be a solid part of that, not the biggest part. Obviously, that comes down to Morant and Jackson Jr. Like, I don't think he's a real shooter. He's either got to work on that or then have a better inside game. I think if they want
we're
to
always
make
gonna
it
disagree on that. That's so
if
crazy.
they want to make him like a playoff threat, he needs to be like better at something offensively. Right now, he's kind of skating by, I think, a little bit on defensive reputation. Um, but yeah, Bane, good pick. I think um now with the first six picks, the first six guys on my board are gone. So uh good stuff, guys. I'm gonna take the seventh player on my board with the seventh pick in this draft, making it players 1 through 7 on my board that have gone picks 1 through 7, regardless of the little disagreements in terms of order. Seems like we've got the same top six guys. Top seven, we'll
No, I didn't
see.
have Quickly.
Oh, you didn't. Wow, where'd you have him? Not in the top six?
7.
8? Oh, okay, 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 okay. So
So
then we'll
yeah,
have the same top seven, assuming you had Jaden McDaniels in your top seven. That's who I'm taking at number 7 overall. I love Devin Vassell. I really do. But I think when it comes to, okay, how about this? The last 2 seasons, the Spurs are better off having had Devin Vassell than they were having had Jaden McDaniels because of Vassell's ability to scale up offensively. But going forward, I think, like Vassell is like
you're
the,
right. Just stick with what you're saying.
yeah,
Don't change. You're right.
Vassell is like the, good player that's replaceable. Jaden McDaniels maybe
Yes.
less good in certain contexts, but very
Ver-
unique, very special defensively. And he's someone who any team should want to have around, should want to make fit into their system. And so yeah, you know, he's gonna be the pick here at number 7. It's that simple. Long term, I think he and Vassell will be around the same caliber of player. I think Vassell will be seen as better. And I think if I were building a contender and I had some like 2 offensive engines already, I'm easily taking McDaniels. So there's that.
Yeah, honestly, you couldn't have said that any differently, and I would have agreed with you every which way you said there because um, Devin Vassell, his numbers are definitely better right now, and his impact, like the team was shit, like here's the thing: you exchange him and Jaden McDaniels. He's looking like Jeremy Sohan. Jaden McDaniels is looking like Jeremy Sohan in San Antonio. But Vassell, I mean, he probably you take him off the team is that's probably 5 wins or something, 7 wins there. Jaden McDaniels isn't impacting the wins or losses at all in San Antonio, where Minnesota he is.
He's a
Um,
ceiling raiser, not a floor raiser.
yep, absolutely, and I do agree that Vassell throughout his career has a way better chance at finishing higher on this list than Jaden, strictly because of situation right now. I do believe in Jaden. That's why he's higher on my list. I think his ceiling is higher by a good amount. I just think it's just tough because he's still the fifth option in Minnesota, and he's arguably moving down even more with Rob Dillingham coming in. Uh, we're never, I don't think we're going to see his full offensive potential in Minnesota unless he just takes it. He's going to have to change his mentality. I mean, he's very patient. He's very um, strategic and relaxed on how he gets his buckets, and it works great within the system. He does exactly what the team needs, but not who Jaden McDaniels needs to reach his full potential. But hey, you could be this amazing defensive player, make many defensive teams, and maybe win a championship in Minnesota and become a legend that way. There's the path is there. The path is there, but I think Minnesota, it comes down to, I said this last year, it's all up to Anthony Edwards and Jaden McDaniels, but now Rob Dillingham comes in. So that changes things in Jaden's perspective. Like, there's not as much pressure on Jaden McDaniels to reach his offensive ceiling with Rob Dillingham there.
Yeah, for sure. Um, McDaniel's super good defensively. That's what he's got to do on this team. They have Carl Anthony Towns and Anthony Edwards, like, and Nas Reed, dude. Like, this is a team that has such
Exactly. Sixth,
versatile,
seventh option.
talented offensive players. McDaniel's really just has to lock up. Zach, who are you going with at number 8 overall in the 2020 redraft?
Yeah, it's my guy Devin.
Okay, so
And
so the top 8 on my board have been taken with the top 8 picks. So we are, I assume we have the same guys in the top 8, just different order.
yeah, would
Wow.
you agree to this thought? The only difference is really Immanuel Quickley. I'm pretty sure.
You had him 7, I had him 5. So that's it.
Yeah, like Desmond Bain. I mean, that's what changes things. But with Devin, him, Patrick Williams, Sadiq Bey, they were all very high on my draft board. Um,
Patrick Williams is gonna get taken in this
we'll see.
redraft. Sadiq
No, he
Bey,
will.
I will not be taking Sadiq Bey in this redraft.
Oh, he's dropped off the face of the earth for me, unfortunately. Uh, but yeah, I loved those wings coming in. I will say this about Devin, like right now as a player, I truly think he's like below peak Buddy Hield. Would you agree to that? Whatever you thought he was in Sacramento. I
Healed
know
is
Buddy's a little tainted for many because of
but Healed is so one dimensional as a player. Like, there's no defensive anything. And then
I
the
don't think Devin's
offense
there yet either though.
and then the offense is so one track minded. I would say that Buddy Heald has probably turned in more impactful, productive offensive seasons in his sleep than Vassell has so far.
In his
But
sleep, yeah.
I think like Buddy Hield has probably had 4 or 5 seasons, maybe 4, that have been more impactful than Vassell in his
All
last
right.
year. But team context wise, like defensively, dude, it's a different planet.
Oh,
I
I
would
think Devin this year probably will be better than peak Buddy Hield.
yes. Okay, we agree. We agree.
All right. Any other thoughts on Devin here or takeaways? I mean,
No,
I don't
man.
have too much else to add.
We'll
I
see.
love.
We'll see. He has a chance to shine this year on on the big screen. Let's see.
Do
Let's
you
see
think
what he's
he?
got. Chris Paul,
Do you think
Harrison
he's in a
Barnes.
good position with the additions they made?
Yeah,
I think he's
for
fine.
sure.
I think they need him.
I think if he is not as assertive offensively, then they have insulation for it. But I think he also has the room to go get his. So yeah, number 9 in the redraft. This is a tough one. This is actually a very tough one for me. It comes down to 2 guys that play the same position pretty much.
Mm.
Um, and if I had to pick who the better player was today, to me it's easy, but because it's a redraft, I'm gonna go with the other guy. And the other guy for me is Denny Avdia. So I'm going with Denny, number 9 in the redraft. Reason being, he is someone who I do believe is showing great improvement offensively. Obviously he's just now getting to be like very solid, kind of good on offense. Defensively, he's always been very rock solid, but now I think he's getting to the point where he's teetering on flirting with game changer territory defensively. And
Wow.
that's not, not someone who, you have him out there, you're fine, but someone who affects your scheme, someone who you can count on. That's a huge deal. So yeah, I mean, you look at the fact that now, you know, he's able to affect a game plan defensively, in terms of, a coach knows, okay, this guy, switchable defender, very productive. I just think this is one of those like high floor, low ceiling picks. We're in that stage of this redraft now where I'm okay just getting someone who ends up a good player. And I don't, I've taken some swings already. Um, so yeah.
I love that you said that because I think the opposite of that, like I'm drafting for upside here, and highest ceiling, versus lowest floor. I mean, versus highest floor, where I think Denny's got a really high floor and pretty low ceiling, which I think you just said as well. Um, but the other guy's got a higher ceiling, is what I'm getting at here. One thing that you said, I'm not fully there on his defense yet. Like, yes, he was in Washington. It's hard to display that there. Um, like, he's a big body, he's good with positioning. Um, Feet are fine. I don't think it's like something he willingly wanted to do time and time again because he didn't necessarily need to with the guys around him. Um, I think he is more of a he'll be as good as the guys around him and he'll play up to that. And I think his defense maybe can become a game changer in Portland, being they got some dudes there that can get after it a little more. And I think the intensity will be a little more. I do like the fit now that you um, mentioned you really like his defense as well. And I think they need his playmaking a bit and just all around game. So I am excited about that fit. I am also a little nervous because there is a lot going on there and they don't have a ton of shooters in my mind. But I'm just torn on Denny and overall. And he was number 12 on my board.
Okay.
Again, this is a huge tier, so 9
Yeah.
to like 16 is interchangeable for me. But yeah, so you had Denny at number 9, number 10,
What do you
in the
got?
2020 redraft. I'm going with Patrick Williams. That's based on opportunity. I love this guy's opportunity yet in
He was
Chicago.
number 12 on my board. So this all evens out when it comes down
Yeah.
to it. Go for it.
Yes. It comes down to opportunity. I think he's got a chance to get all the run, the burn, the attempts, the attack, whatever he wants to do, whatever he is able to do, we're going to be able to see it. Like there's going to be no stone left unturned now that they got rid of DeMar, got rid of Caruso. I still want them to get rid of Zach LaVine, and that will help a little bit, but I think he fits great with Patrick Williams. Honestly, it's the Kobe White and Zach LaVine fit that I really think would be a big issue there. And I just really want Zach LaVine in a different situation. Anytime I think about the Bulls, and I just don't think Zach LaVine will have any impact on if Patrick White Williams reaches his ceiling or not. But I think he's got the all-around game yet. He's shown signs. It's just how good is his offense is the question. Um, I'm a believer in his defense. If the team is good enough, I think he can get it done. He's 3-D right now, but I think he's got a little post game to him. I think he's got a little wiggle. Time will tell. This is the year for him. Is it though? Do you
Four,
believe?
four,
Let
four
me
threes a
ask you
game,
that. Do you
40%,
believe his
four threes a
opportunity is
game.
there?
Yeah, sure. He's 3-D. Okay. I'll give you 3-D. People say 3-D about guys who, whatever.
I
It's it.
don't. I don't throw
I
that term
know.
around.
I know. But I
The
always
one,
check.
the one guy you can push back on me on is Jaren Jackson Jr. You can push back on that.
Oh, no one cares when he shoots.
I just think his percentages lie. I think he's better than his percentages, but
I don't even look at percentage. I think to me, for big men, the better indicator of how good of a shooter they are is either one of these stats. Actually, I guess look at both of them, right? But their average distance from the rim on their team's shot attempts and the percentage of 3-point attempts that they take that are contested by the defense. Those are the two
it,
indicators to me that are um better to figure out if someone's actually a stretch five or not than just raw percentage and attempts.
he takes a high percentage outside, right?
Jaron,
Yes.
um,
Come on. Like I'm not able to look that up right now because my shit's not.
he takes 32% of his shots from 3-point
Yes, a
land.
lot. Yeah, that's
His rookie year it was 36, then 39, then 28, then 32, then 35, then 32 again. So
yeah, that's solid
with
for sure.
ED coming in, we'll call it, probably
But you're
30,
saying a lot of them
36
are
coming up.
open, right?
Um,
A lot of them aren't that
I don't ha
contested.
I don't have
Okay.
yeah, I don't have that data, but from what I've seen, yes.
Yeah, okay.
Like from what I've noticed, yeah, for sure. Um, I wish I could find a tweet. I think I literally saw it today, but basically, he is not a real shooter. No, that's super overstated.
No, like I think that's a fair take because a lot of the things you're saying, but I also believe in his shot a good amount, and it's just because he takes a lot of them too. That's a big part of it. He's a chucker at times. Like how many attempts did he average last year?
How many attempts last year? I just had no, I didn't actually just have this up, so I'm not mad at myself. He averaged
Never.
5.5 attempts per
They
game
were
last year,
solid,
shot 32%.
right? Yeah, I knew the percentage, but all right. Last question on Patrick Williams.
30 Jaron Jackson Jr., 36th percentile true shooting percentage last season. What a UCL for him there. What an accomplishment.
Do you
Anyway,
consider Jaden McDaniels 3 and D?
no,
Good, good, good. I
no,
don't either.
hell no. He's and D.
But no, what 3 and D?
Yeah, but he's just and D.
You don't believe in his three, huh?
I believe in his other offensive game more than his three.
Fair.
I think
Wow.
he's versatile and D. I don't think he's three and
Oh, I
D.
don't consider him 3 and D because I do believe in the rest of his game, but I do think he could fall in
He's
that category here. I think like that's why I asked
over
the
the
question.
last 2 seasons, he shot 3.5 threes per game,
Right. I think that
and
could
he's
go way up.
averaging about 37% from downtown.
Right. I think he could get trapped in that and where it goes up to 40%. And he's shooting six or
Hell no.
5 or 6 a game. 5 or 6
Uh-uh.
a game.
Uh-uh. Now we're lying for fun. All right. You said you
You
had a
don't
question
think with
on
Rob Dillingham,
you had a
like,
question about Patrick Williams.
yeah, what's the ceiling to you?
Uh 3-point shooting
Less than Tobias
Aaron
Harris.
3-point shooting Aaron Gordon.
I hate that comp, but fair. I like player wise, skill wise, sure.
um
All right.
like
No,
I know you like to ask about ceiling, but for me it's like everyone has an absolute ceiling of being the greatest player of all time. You know what I mean?
no,
Like,
they do not. No, they
but
do not.
when
Like
you're
it's
talking about
0% for
likeliness,
so many
to
people.
hit that ceiling.
It is absolutely 0% for everybody in this class besides Ant.
Okay.
Let's stay on track here. Number 11.
Number 11 for me, I get to go with the number 10 player on my board. This is someone I'm still really high on. He just had a career best season as a rebounder and a career best season as a 3-point shooter. I'm going to go with Isaac Okoro here. I firmly believe in his ability to contribute to a winning team. Um, and I think it's that simple. I think we're at this point of the draft where we're going with our guys. I could have gone Obi here. Um, could have gone beef stew, but Nah, I'll go with the Okoro. He's shown growth in the right ways in the last 2 seasons to me, where he can be a versatile weapon on a playoff team, and that's where we're at in this redraft is looking for guys who can contribute to contending rotations, and I would say he's one of the 2, 3 guys at the top of my list. I'd say one of the two guys, him and Obi are the two guys at the top of my
Wow.
list for who's left.
I have Okoro at 15, so he wouldn't even make my redraft. But again, I said
Wow.
9 through 16 is one tier.
Yeah, I
But
get it.
number 12. So my thing with Okoro real quick is I don't really like his opportunity other than defensively.
I
And
don't care. Like that's what he's there for. Darius
right,
Garland, Donovan Mitchell, Evan Mobley are going to be scoring the ball. Jared Allen's going to be passing it. I don't
they
really
even got a
care.
lot of good shooters though. They got
Yeah,
a lot
say
like
I love
Max.
Sam Merrill. Sam Merrill,
Yeah,
uh, obviously not in my lottery for this redraft, but he's in my top 22 for this
top
redraft.
22. Sam Merrill would be 20 for me. 19, 20.
Wow, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that.
All right. So
Who you taking at 12?
number 12. I'm getting my number 10 guy here. So I'm kind of excited about that. It's kind of a bit of a steal for me. I haven't
Okay.
had I don't think I've had a steal like this in a
I was gonna
while.
say it's usually me who's like, oh my god,
Yeah,
he was
right.
the number 6.
It's only been you, I think.
So I've set you up
Anyways,
here.
I got a champion representing right here. You might think this is crazy, but I think he's just going to be rock solid throughout his career, just like Isaac Okoro. I think Okoro has a great chance to be rock solid.
Go
Just
ahead, take a backup guard.
heck, should be starting for the San Antonio Spurs or Washington Wizards or
I don't
a
despise
few
that.
other teams. But Peyton Pritchard,
I knew it.
I do think he could. Like right now, this very moment, you gave him 25 minutes a game in San Antonio last year, for instance. I think he would average 15 and 8 or something like that.
Would he have been better than Trey Jones? Would have
100. Yeah, Trey Jones, dude, isn't he? He's my number 20 guy. 20 guy. I got Sam Merrill above Trey Jones.
that's that's kind of disrespectful.
And he's a Minnesota guy, too.
Trey is a dog, man.
I probably will be way wrong on that. I mean,
Trey's a dog.
I'd have to go back and look at my draft takes on
I
Tyus,
I
but I
I hear
think I
you.
was pretty pretty low on Tyus as well, and Tyus has definitely exceeded my expectations, which is saying quite a bit for what Tyus has actually done. But okay, here we go. Peyton Pritchard or Tyus Jones? How about that? Who you taking there?
For
I'm
what?
taking Peyton.
For what?
Just better player right now.
Right
Not
now?
yeah, not for the rest of their career because I don't
Better
understand
player
either way.
right now is Tyus Jones.
I disagree, but
That's okay. I think
that's
it's
I
close.
think it's that close. Yeah. All right. Cool.
I agree it's close. I'm going Tyus. I think for sure though. So yeah. Okay. You got Pritchard at 12, sets me up at 13. Um, I am going to go with the number 11 player on my board. I'm going to get Obi Toppin here.
Mm.
Um, for me, Obi's a good pick because he's an amazing play finisher. He can make the open three. He can, pound the paint as a transition player. He's not a half court post player at all. High center of gravity. Not someone who can really back guys down who aren't much smaller than him. Even when he has someone smaller on him, he's not really a post player. But this is a quintessential modern play finisher. You can play him at the 4. He's not super strong defensively. He's going to make open threes. He's going to move the ball intelligently. He's going to play within the scheme, stay in his lane. He's going to cut off the ball intelligently. He has good feel for the game. And I do think if we're talking, I know your favorite word is ceiling. If we're talking ceiling, he has shown stuff in terms of driving to the rim with the ball in his hands in the air, showing amazing body control. He has the body control despite the high center of gravity to be someone who can make teams pay off of closeouts on his 3-point shot. He's improving in the right ways in terms of building his game up from within. The three pointers going in more, so teams are closing out harder. He's getting better at finishing around the rim, not just with dunks. So that's good when he gets closed out on. Gonna go with Obi Toppin here. He's a good player. Could definitely be an end of rotation guy on a contender, and end of rotation guy on a contender. That's where we're at, right? We just took Okoro, Pritchard, and Toppin. Like that's where we're at in this redraft. Zach, before you make your final pick, I'm going to reveal who the next three players on my board are, and then you go ahead,
Go
you
for it.
say the two guys that just missed the cut, and then who you're taking with our final pick. The next three guys on my board, I had Okoro 10, Toppin 11, Patrick Williams 12, Isaiah Stewart 13, Isaiah Stewart. Next up at 14, Aaron Nesmith. Next up at 15, Isaiah Joe. So those are my next three. Zach, who are the two guys that just missed the cut for you? And then who are you taking with the 14th and final pick?
All right, two names you mentioned there that we're probably way different on are Isaiah Joe and Isaiah Stewart. So two Isaiahs, even though I love the name Isaiah. But with that said, the guys that will be left off for me, no, he made it. Sorry. Obi Toppin was 16 for me. Onyeka Okongwu will be left off. Cole Anthony will be left off. I had him at 13, Onyeka 14. I had Sadiq Bey just because I still believe in the type of player he could become, even though I think he sucks right now. I thought he was really good his rookie year, very underrated,
I
and then
had
he's
I
just
had a
kind of declined.
Kongwu. I had a Kongwu 24. I had no, that's a lie. I had a Kongwu 25, Cole 23, Sadiq 18.
One guy you haven't mentioned, a couple guys. I
Jalen
had
Smith,
James Wiseman at 18.
Wiseman at 30.
You went all the way to 30. That's what I'm laughing about.
I would
But
take
and the
Zeke
fact that you had
Naji.
Wiseman.
I would take Zeke Naji,
Bruh.
Kenyon Martin Jr., Nick Richards, Josh Green, Yeka Kungwu, Paul Reed, Cole Anthony, Sam Merrill, Xavier Tillman Sr., Peyton Pritchard, Precious Achua, Sadiq Bey, Jalen Smith, Trey Jones, Isaiah Joe, Aaron Nesmith, and Isaiah Stewart, all over James Wiseman.
Jesus Christ. If I was in the same room with you, I'd throw some at you. James Wiseman's had better games than every single player you've mentioned there. It's just he doesn't
Malachi
have
Flynn has
many of
scored
them.
50 points. He's had better games than anyone you've drafted. He just hasn't had as many.
Well, Malachi Flynn probably had the best game of this whole class then, besides Anthony Edwards and Tyrese Maxey. So,
Where's Ant's
uh,
50 ball?
but okay, Ant's got 30 balls better than Malachi's 50. Let's be honest. Uh, that
I'm just saying,
Malachi
I'm just making
50
your
came
point
at the
back
end of
to
the
you.
year.
I'm just
That
making your
Malachi
point
game
back to you.
that Malachi game, now that we're on the subject, was better than any LaMelo or Tyrese Halliburton game, probably. No, maybe not Tyrese Halliburton, but probably LaMelo. That one game.
Nah, LaMelo has put up ridiculous. Dude, I'm taking a LaMelo 30 point triple double over
Okay.
Malachi
Yeah,
Flynn
that's fair.
50.
I like it.
All
Okay.
right.
Anyways,
Who the hell are you taking, man?
I'm taking a guy that has actually made an impact on a winning team, kind of like Isaac Okoro. You've mentioned him.
Yep.
I was all in on him before the draft. Then I was out on him a couple years into it. Now I'm back in on him, just for different reasons, and that would be
Precious?
Precious. Hell no, Aaron Nesmith.
Hell no. That's
Yeah,
crazy.
Precious is 21 for
Hell
me.
no, it's crazy.
I got Trey Jones ahead of Precious, man.
Me too.
Okay.
Okay.
The only
Neesmith, good pick.
only other guy you didn't mention, Josh Green had 19,
I had
and
Green
then
at
Jalen Smith
26.
24.
I had Jalen Smith at 17 and Josh Green at 26.
It's literally just picking guys that have had a couple good games, and if they're gonna sprinkle any more in there when you get down in the 20s here.
Yeah. Opportunity, pre-draft, all plays in. To
But
recap quickly.
real quick,
Oh, yeah, yeah,
why
yeah.
why was Aaron Nesmith so low for you?
I had Neesmith at 14 on my board.
Oh, so I thought it was like 16 or something. All right.
No, no, I shouted him out as one of the three that missed the cut. So yeah, to recap, with the first pick, I took Anthony Edwards. With the second pick, Zach took Tyrese Maxey. With the third pick, I grabbed Tyrese Halliburton. With the fourth pick, Zach got LaMelo Ball. Fifth, I took Immanuel Quickley. Sixth, Zach took Desmond Bane. At 7, I took Jaden McDaniels. At 8, Zach took Devin Vassell. At 9, I took Denny Avdia. At 10, Zach grabbed Patrick Williams. At 11, I snagged Isaac Okoro. At 12, Zach acquired Peyton Pritchard. At 13, I selected Obi Toppin. And at 14, Zach brought in Aaron Neesmith. Just showed off a Woj like synonym bag for drafted. Yeah, there's our
My team
2020 mock
would
draft.
jack yours up, man. My
Let's
team.
see. You've got Maxey, LaMelo, and Bane as your top 3.
Yeah.
Vassell off the bench. You're starting Pat Will at the 4,
Oh, I wouldn't have a 5. Neither of us would have a
or you're
5.
starting Neesmith at the 4. Either way, your 5 your 5 is Patrick Williams pretty much. I would have Quickly, Halliburton, Ant, Jaden McDaniels, 1, 2, 3, 4. Denny Avdia, small ball 5. I'd have Okoro, Toppin. Yeah, I'm going with. It's tough
You
because you have
still have a lot of guys that
LaMelo
are
and Maxey
unpolished.
is really good, but I'm going Quickly, Halliburton, Ant as the best 1, 2, 3. Like that's really
My
good.
guys just mesh better though.
Well, you're right. Neither of us have a center, so that's funny.
All right,
Um,
Onyeko Kangwu. He's just the guy that is always
I
stuck
loved
out,
him
and I think he's
pre-draft. I loved him
underachieved.
pre-draft. I had him like 4 pre-draft. He is so bad
Same.
defensively. It's embarrassing for me as a talent evaluator. I hope he makes some gargantuan leap to being average defensively because then I won't look as stupid. Um, I also hope he has a great career because he's super fun to watch and fun to follow. And I've been a fan of his for years before he was an NBA player, from even before he was a college player. So for me, I'm gonna say Okongwu is so bad defensively. That's why he was really low on my board. It's just so important at his position.
Offensively, though, like I don't think he's that great either. I think he's just okay.
No, he's
Like
not. He's not that great. Yeah, that's why I had him 25.
that's insane. Yeah, I don't 14 just because I think he's still gonna get a big opportunity mainly.
I went with Precious Achua over Okongwu.
No, and that's fair, but
All right.
I don't think Precious is better right now. I think you put
Nah,
Onyeka on the Knicks.
Precious is better right now. Onyeka would get played out of the rotation because his rim
Old world,
protection
man.
isn't good enough. Precious at least brings enough offensive versatility to the table, and then like Precious and OG like actually played with Joel Embiid. Like they were blocking his jump shots, man. I can't go watch the highlights of the Precious Achua OG Anunoby Game 4 clinic on Joel Embiid. Absolutely insane. Absolutely
Oh,
insane
Precious is a much better defender now, but
that they
if you
had that
put
game against Joel
Onyeka,
Embiid in the playoffs. Insane.
yeah, I mean, if you put Onyeka next to OG and Anunoby and
I
Josh
think
Hart,
Onyeka
like
gets played out of the rotation because he's not a rim protector at all. And if you're not going to be a rim protector at all, you're either not going to play or you bring enough to the table in terms of offensive versatility, like a Precious does. I think Tibbs would play Randall at the 5 and OG at small ball 5 before he played a Kungwu. And that's yeah, man. Yeah, man. So yeah, with that said, we'll talk to you all soon. Thank you so much for tuning in. If you're still here, I hope you enjoyed this third redraft we've done. 22, 21 are up on our page. Thank y'all so much for tuning in. For Zach Noble, I'm Kris Persianen saying thank you to Ballislife for sponsoring as always, and we will see y'all next time right here on All Things NBA from A to Z. Peace.